Okay.
Okay, we're back on.
All right. So, of course, we're having some technical difficulties, but I literally was, when you said, it's a journey, it's definitely a journey. And so patience is definitely what makes it the best,
Hmm.
the best moment. So we're going to get started because I don't know. I know somebody who needs to hear this story and needs to definitely have hope. And so we're going to get started with the
Amen.
questions. Okay, so tell your child's story, the diagnosis, and how he learns, please.
Okay, well, again, his name is Kenden, aka we call him Mr. K. A great friend of mine gave him that name. She claimed she could not say Kenden, so she started calling him Mr. K, and that has stuck with him. He even knows that's his other name, Mr. K. Well, his journey started. Kenden has always been a unique child. Um, Even before the diagnosis, he had a lot of medical scares, a lot of unknowns. We just dealt with a lot of stuff. I mean, literally one day his eye it wouldn't turn out, it just stuck in. Lots of ear infections, he had seizures. It just was just a one thing, had GI problems, just one thing after another. But God bless, because he had a wonderful nurse. Her name was Erin. I don't remember her last name, but God put her in our lives for a reason, because she really was like our guide to everything. If she didn't know the answer, she's like, I know what to look for, and I'm gonna get you to the right person. Um, but anyway, his journey, we found out at the age of 2 that he was autistic, and we started getting things going, I believe, yeah, at the age of 2.
Mhm.
um and maybe even earlier at 1. You go for your well baby checkups,
Right.
and at the age of 1, your child should be saying something,
Hmm.
some type of words, but sometimes that doesn't happen or occur. So we went for our first well baby's checkup when he was a year old, and she asked the typical questions on, what he's eating, checking his weight, all that kind of stuff. And she asked about communication, and I was like, well, he's not saying anything, and I said, but hey. And she's like, well, she said, okay, well, let's come back in 6 months or so and check. And I said, okay. So we went back in 6 months, and she said, well, what is he saying? And I was like, nothing. Um, and so at that time, his way of communication was more so of really just crying and screaming.
Hmm.
I mean, me and his father really walked on eggshells, because we didn't know. I mean, he was very impulsive, and he's still a very impulsive child. So we never allowed him to cry, because I mean, if gosh, it was war with him sometimes.
Hmm.
Because you just never knew what to expect.
And what was the
So,
reason for it?
or what's the reason for it
Hmm.
exactly? So he kind of ruled the roost at the house. He really did. But anyway, so 6 months came, and she said, is he talking? And I said, no. She said, well, let's do a referral for speech therapy. And I said, well, okay. And so she put in the referral. And at the time, I was a educational assistant at a school, and I
Hmm.
worked with special needs children, autistic children. And so I'm thinking, I'm like, well, Lord, I can't afford speech therapy. And I'm like, I don't know. So I went to the speech therapist at the school, and I said, hey, this is what his nurse is saying. She's recommending speech therapy. What should I do? And she definitely said, well, speech therapy is a great thing. She's like, but there are also programs that the state provides that you may want to look into. So she introduced me to early intervention in Tennessee. So I called them, made an appointment. They came to my home, and the lady assessed him, and she said he most definitely is, qualifies for our program. And I remember Kenden was just running around the house, just spinning, running around and throwing
Mm.
himself in the walls and doors and everything. And she said, "You do know this is not normal." And I'm like, "It's not." And she was like, no. And I'm like, "Okay." And she said, "You guys have really normalized yourself to this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, this is all we know from him.
Wow.
I
Wow.
mean, this is all we know. Like, I don't know. This is what we know." So they started coming into the home. They also went to his daycare and worked with him. They actually um, paid for speech therapy. I didn't have to
Mhm.
pay anything out of
Mhm.
pocket. They set that up for him.
Mhm.
They also decided to do OT. They paid for that.
Mhm.
Um, so I think he was approaching 3 or close to 3. And if it wasn't for my mother, she was like, "Well, she said, have they said anything about autism?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "No." Like, and I got mad at her. And I'm like, "No." I was like, "Why would you say that?" And she was like, "Well, okay." And she just left it alone. And
It's
so,
hard to swallow.
yeah, I was like,
It's hard to
talking
comprehend
about, I'm like,
it.
"How do you come?" I'm like, "Well, how did you get from from this to that?"
It's very hard, you
I
guys,
was
to
like,
hear that.
"Okay." And I'm like, "Whatever." So she let it go. And then I'm like,
That was her way of saying, okay.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. She knows me and she knows my mouth, and she's like, "Okay." So, and I'm like, "Okay." And I thought about it for a couple of days. I said, "Well, Lord," I said, "I do work with autistic children." And so I started paying attention to the kids I work with.
Mm.
And I'm like, "Okay, maybe
Mhm.
there is something there."
Mhm.
And I went to the teacher I work with, who was amazing. She was amazing, special education teacher. Shout out to Miss Karen Hargrove. I love her to death. She's amazing. And I was like,
What was her
"Hey,
name?
Karen Hargrove." Yep.
I
She
know her.
she is an amazing teacher. Well, she works in Kentucky. She works in
I know
Kentucky.
her. We grew up together.
She works in Kentucky. And amazing teacher. And so anyway, I asked her, I was like, "What do you think?" And she was like, "Well, I see some signs and definitely we should get them tested." And so I did. And that's how we met his current now behavior specialist,
Mhm.
Dr. Gary Griffith. He is amazing.
Mhm.
He's been doing this for over 20 years, probably more. And he definitely gave us that answer that we were needing. And honestly, after I got the answer, it was like a sense of relief.
Mm.
Everything made sense. Even some of the medical things that he was going through,
Mhm.
like the
Mhm.
GI issues.
Mhm. Okay,
It
so we're
made
here for
sense.
those who do not know what's GI.
Uh, Lord, what's that big old word?
But what is it about? Okay, let's just say.
Well, Kenan has a diagnosis. He has acid reflux.
Mhm.
He also has issues with constipation.
Yeah, going to the bowel movement and using the bowel
Yeah,
movement.
those are things that we
Yes,
deal
that's
with.
exactly, and that's a majority what I've been researching. The majority of children who have autism, Jasmine has those issues. We have to have Miralax,
Mm-hmm.
um, like almost every other day to help her soften her stool to go poop. Um, so definitely, that's what you guys need. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So we've been dealing with that, long before the diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So everything it just came together.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I say if you ever read my blogs, Exploring the Life of Kenden Carter, I talk about how thankful I am for autism. It brought together those unknowns that we didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of stuff we still don't understand, but
Mm-hmm.
I've come to realize that's okay, because that's just Kenden. that's my child, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some things we will never understand. I had a OBGYN tell me, he said, you know, I've been doing this for years. He said, I have studied the body for years. And he said, but the body is so amazing. He said, there's things that I will never know. And I feel that's the way, that's how you describe my child. You know, there's just things that we will never know. We just have to go with the flow and say, hey, if we have an answer, thank you, God. If we have a solution, thank you, God. If we have interventions, thank you, God. I was never saddened by his diagnosis. I knew it would be work. And that's, you know, where I made the decision where I would never have any more children. That was, and even before his diagnosis,
That's about me.
that was it. You know, he was that, Kenden's your last. And I'm like, well, God, you know, I'm like, well, maybe. And then that diagnosis came. I said, okay, Lord, yes, no more. Because it is work. It definitely
is definitely a full-time job.
It is a full-time job, and I work a full-time job.
It's not, you know, we say that for children, but for those who have a diagnosis, it is like, you guys, it's like 10 times. Like, she is two people in one body. The day and the night. You know, the ups and the downs. It's definitely a challenging moment when you're like, you were just happy and smiling and playing, and then 2 seconds later you were like attacking.
Exactly. See, with Kenden, he is not high functioning. He is a level 3, so he is total care. He's 8 years old. He's still not potty trained, which I believe he can do it. And we're still working on that. And I think it's more so me than him at this point. But we're also dealing with bowel movements, the issue with having bowel movements. So level 3 child is a child that requires total care. I mean, they have to have help with their ADLs, activities of daily living, which that could be bathing, eating, cooking, putting on your shoes, putting on your clothes. He doesn't understand the safety. An 8-year-old should, I think an 8-year-old should know how to look both ways when he crosses the street. No, he doesn't understand those things. He doesn't. So his social cognitive level is at an age of a we say a 2 to 3-year-old. It's crazy because, like you said, it's like you're looking at 2 different people. Like sometimes I feel like I'm dealing with the typical 8-year-old, and then sometimes when he has his tantrums and behaviors, I'm dealing with the 2 or 3-year-old. But that comes with it because I have to remember he lost all that. He didn't have those moments. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, at 1, 2, 3, I mean, I called it Kenden's world. He lived in his own little world. Yes, he still had the behaviors, but he wasn't aware of his surroundings. He wasn't interested. And now I see that he's interested. He wants to be involved. He wants to be included now. So that's definitely a big change and a blessing, you know, that he's coming out of his own shell, out of his own world, and allowing others, you know, to come in and meet him. And he wants to be a part of us too.
Right.
So,
right.
But yeah.
Okay. All right. So the other question is, how do you advocate? And I know you're already advocating, but how do you advocate for your child, and what ways do you support other families?
Okay. How I advocate for Kenden pretty much is that I am supportive of him. A big thing about advocating is that I'm supportive of his team, of his medical team, of his team at school, because I need them. I need them. I need them. I need them. Point blank. Period.
Yes.
I need them. That I don't know any other
what
way
else
to say it. I just need them. Like, I need them.
I can't do it without them.
I can't do it without them. I can't do it without them. So that's how I'm supportive of him. He has a wonderful medical team. He has a wonderful support team at school. And we work together. It is not just me that advocates for my child. It's them too.
Right.
Anything that I need or I want, I literally one text away or email away. I mean, Dr. G, his behavior specialist, I have his personal number in my phone. I mean, that's just how close.
Yeah, I have everybody's number. I have everybody's email.
Yeah, I mean, I have his doctor's number. I even got his wife's number. That's just how close we are. Seriously,
it's a family.
It's a family.
It's a family.
We are family. Like, you know, and I'm not saying that we always agree. We don't. But our common goal is Kenden.
Yes.
And that's where we meet. Is for
and if
Kenden.
not, find another team, you guys.
No.
Find another team.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's not, you find another team. But I notice a lot of times, you know, I'm on Facebook groups or Instagram groups, and a lot of parents get so frustrated or upset with the school. And I'm like, guys, they're not perfect. They're not perfect. We have to remember, my motto is I don't expect perfection, but what I do expect is your effort and your all. And I tell them, you be real with me. Please, like, tell me when you're tired. Tell me when you're frustrated. Because guess what? I feel the same way sometimes. Sometimes you're not gonna like my child. I get it. I don't like them sometimes, but I still love them, and I know that they love them. And I think that's how we could bridge the gap with the school systems and the therapists and the doctors and the things like that. Now, I know that some don't listen and don't take pay. And when that happens, you go raw. But I will
go raw. I have.
Yeah, I will go raw. But I will always give them the opportunity to show me who they are. And thank you, God, that He has placed those people. Oh my God, they have done everything I have asked them to do or needed them to do. If they didn't know the answer, they say, okay, we're sending you on to somebody else because we don't know. And I love that. If you don't know, it's okay. It's okay. You don't know. They're like, hey, I don't know, but we don't send you on. And that's what I call advocating. It's a team effort. It truly takes a village to raise Kenden. I can't do it by myself. Like, literally, I can't do it by myself. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was at his school doing a telehealth appointment. I was like, hey, y'all. I was like, yo, I don't want to take him out of school for 5 to 10 minutes. I was like, can y'all, like, let me come to the school and do the appointment? And the teacher was like, yeah, definitely come. And I'm so grateful that she allowed it, because she had the opportunity to talk to his neurologist. She had the opportunity to talk to his behavior specialist, because there are things that I don't know. She was actually able to show them charts and graphs and say, hey, this is what's going on, because, you know, he does take medication. Kenden, he's on medication for his aggression. He does have ADHD, so we take medicine for ADHD. He takes medicine for his seizures. He also takes medicine for his constipation. So he takes medicine 4 times a day. I'm thankful for the medicine too. I know a lot of parents are not big on medicine, but I'm thankful for it, because I believe that is a part of his intervention. You know, that definitely is a part of his intervention, along with the ABA therapy, the speech therapy, the occupational therapy.
Right.
They help that. They help with those other interventions as well.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. And so, what ways do you support other families?
I think the ways I support other families, I you know, I talk about it through my blog, Exploring the Life of Kenden Carter.
Commercial break. When we're finished, can you post that information on the comment? Okay.
Yeah, I will. Right. I'll do that.
And any questions you guys who have with her, any statements, please just post that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I just tell my story, I remember a friend of mine said when I found out he was autistic,
Mm,
she said, I don't know why parents say this. I don't know. I don't feel that way. Because we know God makes no mistakes.
mm,
We know that. We
that's right.
know that he makes no mistakes. He knows what he's doing. And
Right.
we have to trust he created us. He created us. She said, grieve the loss of the child you thought you would have. And I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Right.
I don't for me, I don't know what that means. I don't. Um, but pretty much I'm supportive of other families is that I just tell my story.
Right.
A lot of times people don't agree with me. I got a good friend now. I mean, we're totally two different autism moms,
Mm-hmm.
but we still come together. We love each other. I love her. We're totally different. She's more, hands on. She's
Right.
more of a mama bear, and I'm more kind of relaxed with it, because I give people the opportunity. I give the teachers, the doctors the
I'm
opportunity.
both.
Are you? You're
I'm both.
both? Really?
Yeah. Remember when I told you that
Yeah, I can
she was
understand you though.
neglected. She was
Yeah,
neglected in kindergarten and first grade.
yeah.
And then her second grade experience, I just found out like right before school ended that she I got her report card and I wasn't too happy because I talked to her a second grade teacher who said that, you know, she's doing good. Oh, she's doing good. And then I got a report card and she had 1A, 1B, 2C's, and 3D's. I'm like, how is she doing really good?
Hmm.
Is that good to you? Is that not good
Right,
to me?
right.
And then she said, she's in second grade. She said, she's really doing good in kindergarten with kindergarten stuff.
Wow, you didn't know that.
Oh, so you
Right, right,
uh, oh, and so
right.
that's why I was like, okay, this is it.
Yeah,
This is 3 years of having, not a good experience in
right,
the school system. And
right.
so let me homeschool her. And for those who do not know, Commercial Break, a Solace Academy, it's a great program. If you would like to have a virtual school setting, a Solace Academy is good. And so it's awesome. So I will not, she will not get another experience in the school system until at least middle school. I will
Mhm,
keep her own home for the
mhm,
rest of the elementary school
mhm,
because that's the foundation of everything.
mhm,
That's the
mhm.
foundation of middle school and high school. The transitioning, she's having issues with transitioning. That's middle
Yes.
school. That will probably drive her insane.
Yeah.
So, it's just something I have to really think about. Do I homeschool her until, you know, up to high school, whatever? But elementary school, because she's had negative experience, I want to make sure that she still has the foundation. Again, second grader should get ready for third grade math.
Right. Right.
And that's why she was having trouble with the past 3 months, having issues in math.
Mhm.
Didn't
Mhm.
realize that. So
Mhm.
definitely, I'm
And
hardcore.
see, with me, with Kenden, he started school at 3.
Yeah.
Soon as he transitioned
Mm-hmm.
out of early intervention, they
Mm-hmm.
set up a meeting with the school system. He turned 3 January the 5th. Like after that winter break, he was at school 3 days a week, full
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
riding the bus. My kid was riding the bus at 3. And
And you were crying, and he was happy.
I was just like, you know, I didn't want him to go to school at 3 because I felt like he was too young, but I put my personal feelings aside and said,
Mm-hmm.
this is for him. This is
Yeah.
what he needs to do. And I was comparing him to my older son because Jalen was still at daycare. He was still at a in-home daycare with a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful lady who took very good care of him up until he was 5. She
Mm-hmm.
prepared him for kindergarten and got Jalen ready, but Kenden didn't have that experience. He was at
Mm-hmm.
school at 3 years old,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, it was a totally different experience. I mean,
Right.
I remember my mom walking me to school or taking me to school. I didn't do that for Kenden because I knew I had to show him this is how it's gonna be,
Right.
and my mom was kind of upset, like, you're not taking him to school first day. I said I've already taken him to school, before he started, and walked him around and showed him his classroom. I said, but I have to show him because he's not gonna understand, I'm not going to drop him off the next day or the next day or the next day after. He's going to ride the bus. I said, so we have to start out. This is our routine. We're riding the bus. The teacher will be there waiting for you, and you will start school.
Right.
So with the autistic, like you said, transition. Kenden is not good at transitioning. So I have to start out that routine like it's going to be. And he thrives on routine. He thrives on routine. He thrives on it. I mean, he loves it. He loves it. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So the last thing, I know we just talked about advocating and supporting, but give encouragement. This is definitely what you're just saying about hope. Give encouragement to parents. Any strategies, anything that you would like to say? Like let's say someone just found out their child has autism, or it's been 12, 15 years or whatever, what do you have to tell them?
Keep loving your child. You know your baby. Keep fighting for them. Keep believing in them. Because they're going to show up and show out. Because Kenden show has. I was so ignorant because I thought communication came with understanding or came with learning. And Kenden showed me it does not. Just because I don't communicate the way that you do does not mean that I don't understand. And one song that I love that reminds me of Kenden is by Marvin Sapp, Don't Count Me Out. Don't count your kid out. And don't allow someone else to count them out. Know that you're not perfect. You're going to make mistakes. The school's going to make mistakes. The therapist's going to make mistakes. The doctor's going to make mistakes. But remember, if you guys have that one common goal, and that's fighting for your child and believing in your child, then you can work with them. Lean on support. Like I said, the school is supportive of me. His doctors are supportive of me. Lean on them for support. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I was just telling a parent last night, she was filling out all this paperwork, all that paperwork you got to fill out for doctors. And
Girl.
I don't like paperwork.
It's an essay.
I don't do paperwork. I literally had one of his ABA therapists. She was amazing. And I'm like, she knew. Oh my God. She was like, okay, Shalita, sit down. I'm gonna read these questions and bubble in the answers for you. We gonna do this. Lean on them, even if it's that small. Lean on them. Tell them I'm tired. Tell them I'm tired. But no, the biggest thing, don't count your child out. Don't look at autism or the diagnosis as a bad thing. Turn that bad baby around. Say, thank you, God, because there are some parents that don't even have an answer to what's going on with their child. We do. We got an answer. We have the interventions. Listen, take heed to what they're telling you. It's okay. You have an answer. There's so many people that don't have an answer.
Wow, that's deep.
One thing my mom always says, and my mom has been so much, 2 different cancers. I mean, so much stuff. But one thing she always tells me, you can find a blessing in anything.
I was going to ask you a little commercial question.
Yes.
What lesson have you learned, or what lesson are you learning right now?
Keep pushing, keep striving. And one thing about Kenden, child, if there is a will, there is a way. My child is the poster child for that statement right there. If there's a will, there's a way. He believes in himself. Kenden is so, oh my gosh, the self-esteem he has about himself.
Mm.
And Kenden, one thing I love about him is that he's gonna always be Kenden. Nothing's gonna change that. No one's gonna alter that. He's always gonna be true to himself. Even on them bad days, I'm like, boy, like this morning, he was staring me down. I'm like, you're not gonna win this fight. Because I had put him on the potty and he would not go. And I'm like, Kenden, you know you gotta get on that bus, go to the bathroom. He's looking at me like, nope, I ain't doing it. But I won it. I won it. I was like, and I was about to give up. And he knew it because he knew he was making me mad. And he did not.
Oh, do they know?
Yes, he knew. I was like, really, Kendi? Come on now. But he is, I mean, with him, I have learned to just be happy about who you are. Be happy about who you are. And he has really been my inspiration. I say Ken is my inspiration. He's my inspiration. He has been through so much. Picked on as far as, not picked on by kids because he wouldn't care no way. But I'm talking about just all the medical things that he has experienced. And he has just been a trooper. I mean, the hospital stays, this procedure, that procedure, this doctor's appointment. I mean, we were going to doctor's appointment every 3 to 6 months. Now we go only 6 months to his specialist. So God has just provided for him. God has been,
and it's the right people.
Mm-hmm.
It's the right doctor that
Mm-hmm.
it's like literally when we found out about autism, went to the doctor and she was like, okay, I gave you a list of things that I gave you the list, I gave you the number. I was like, hey, the number, because we don't know who to call and what number and just like these are all the people that take your insurance. I said, what?
Yep.
And so it's definitely like, this is for those of you who have any questions, you can definitely comment. I can comment, Shalita, you can comment below any questions about who do I need to contact for this thing, and
honestly,
then we can definitely
look to your one thing I do is I research a lot. I do research a lot. I have been on Autism Speaks website. For the last 2 years, Kenden has been going to a special needs camp. It is very expensive. It's about $1,500 for 7 weeks.
What does that look like?
The camp?
Yeah.
So so it's a camp just for special needs children. And most of them are autistic. Not this year, but the year before, they had about 15 to 20 kids. They take about 15 to 20 kids, and I called and they said, we know that's not a lot. And I'm like, yes, that is a lot. I said, that's a lot of kids. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, Kenden has got to go to this camp. And I prayed about it. I said, Lord, I ain't got $1,500. I don't have $1,500. God made a way. I didn't pay a dime.
Wow.
I did not pay a dime. I went through a lot of organizations and filled out applications. His doctor helped me fill out applications. I went through Autism Speak.
There's a little commercial break, you guys. There's a lot of resources available.
Yeah, it really is. It's just,
and you just have to read it. You have to take the time. There's a lot of programs, resources that
and unfortunately they don't tell us.
Provide you with
really don't.
With money.
Yep.
Provide you with money. I know through Social Security, if you have a child has autism and you have all the documentations, basically you can go and you can get and I know I'm telling you, but Social Security, they do have funds for children who have autism. It's month to month basis, and so after a whole year you have to verify everything like that. But yeah, it's a lot of resources available.
Yes. So I went through Autism Speaks. They have a list of resources. The Autism Spectrum Disorder Foundation, this year they paid his total cost of camp, paid the entire cost. They helped me last year. and they helped me this year. But I looked at Autism Speaks website and looked at their page of different people that just give, and I just started applying, and that's how I got money for camp. Also, I talked to his therapist. He has a grant that he gets every year. This is not like Social Security. It's not based on income, it's based on need. And it's the family support program that we have in Tennessee. And I'm sure that other states have similar programs to that. And all you have to do is apply, and there you go. I've also applied for a program called Tennessee Respite, where you get $600 a year, and you could use it towards respite, where someone could come in your home and you pay them, and the company will reimburse you back the money for you to just have time to yourself. And then also, Kenden he does have Medicaid. So they also pay for a CNA, a certified nursing assistant, to come in my home 40 hours a week to help me with his everything, daily living. And the nurse will be here today. He gets him off the bus, comes in, gives him a snack, he bathes him for me, he gets him dressed, he cleans up his area, he washes clothes. So if your child, I see a lot of parents talk about not having someone to watch their child. And I always post like, hey, talk to your doctor. If your child has Medicaid, they will pay for home health aid. Also, I said that Kenden is not potty trained. Medicaid pays for his diapers and wipes. They come to my house. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All you need.
I did not know that. Yes. I just bought some last night.
Yes, ma'am. All you have to do is have your doctor write a script, send it to the medical equipment company, and there you go. So Kenden gets oh my gosh, he gets so many wipes. He gets a lot of pull-ups, and that's expensive. That's expensive.
Yeah.
So that has
she's good throughout the day, but at night that's when
they will pay for that. They will pay for that. So when we hang up, you call your doctor. Yes. Have your doctor write a script for that. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
You can get diapers and wipes. Yep.
Never knew that. See? Yep. Never knew that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. He also has a communication device. Because Kenden is communication. He's doing well communicating, but some things we still don't understand. And they pay for that. He also has an activity chair that he sits in when he's doing his telehealth therapy. Medicaid pay for that. Yes, ma'am. We got his bed. He has a safe bed because Kenden is oh God, when he was younger, up all night, wondering, doing my research.
I think she wandered like 2 nights ago.
Oh my gosh. I have this bed called the Noah's World bed. It's amazing. Medicaid will pay for that as well. Yep. It's called Noah's World's bed. It's amazing. And that family has a story behind it. It was a dad and a mom who came up with this concept of this bed. You just you zip them up in it. They can't get out. It's like a big, I guess you could call it, my mom calls it like a big playpen. But yeah, you zip them up, and it's just, like this morning, he was up at 1:00 this morning, and he was in his bed fine. I heard him, and I was still asleep. So I knew he was safe, but he can't get out. Exactly. Medicaid will pay for that as well. So yes, ma'am.
So again, you guys, it's all about communicating, collaborating, and supporting. I didn't know about the wipes and the pull-up, and that the insurance can pay for it, because I mean, it is expensive when you do it every month or every 2 weeks.
Yep.
I couldn't find a big box, so I bought this $15 for like 14. And I'm like, what in the world? It's definitely, oh my goodness, thank you.
Yep. No problem.
This is why it's so important to have a story that, we have a story, but then willing to talk about it. And
Yeah,
this
nothing to
is
be embarrassed about.
nothing to be embarrassed about, because
Nothing.
it's not just us and, one person, it's everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And also for the community who may not know this, maybe you don't have a child who has autism, a grandchild, but you have a neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
that's talk about their please. I'm not really big on how many people that like my page, but you can copy and paste this link. That's what you can do, please.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
share it,
Mm-hmm.
text message people, and go from there. I'm not too big with numbers, but if this is touching, please definitely just copy the link and share it to whoever it is. Thank you so much. This was
Thank
nothing. This
you.
was definitely a godsend.
Yep.
Definitely. And I'm going to talk to you offline about my project in November. I want you to be
Okay.
back on.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, girl.
And so, so for those who, you guys, so this month in October is about community support. We have another parent, a father, you guys, on Monday. This is going to be awesome. Yes. And then we have so many other people that are going to be on this month and next month. But in November, it is Jasmine's birthday month. She'll be 9 years
Yay.
old. And I want parents to come on. I really want like maybe 2 or 3 parents at the same time. So we're just collaborating, we're telling a story, we're encouraging ourselves, and then definitely our listeners. So this is what I want you all to do. If you are parents and you would love to be on my show, please comment below. We also have, Learning with Jasmine actually have a phone number now, you
All
guys.
right.
And so you guys can call me, and if you're willing to be on the chat, on the talk show. Also, I have some people that be like, when those moments when I first found out about autism, and I'm like, what's going on? She was just, happy. And then I will call them and say, girl, it's about that moment. I need some encouragement. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is the moment right here. The number is available for you to have. And definitely this is nothing but destiny, that we are here and nothing but God, and we're gonna get through this. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I always say that God is bigger. I don't know about people's religion or what they believe, but I know that God is bigger than autism. And when I have those moments, I have to remind myself that you're bigger. And there's a lesson behind this. There's
Mm-hmm.
something for me.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
something for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where I am right now in my place. Yeah, I've gotten frustrated. Yeah, I've gotten mad, and anxiety has, but it's something for me. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lesson. And then when I have received my lesson, which was patience. That
Mm.
was my lesson right there.
Mm-hmm.
I needed
Mm-hmm.
patience.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm telling other people, you know. And so I hope this chat has brought what you said, hope,
Yeah.
encouragement.
Encouragement. Don't give up. Don't count your
Yes.
babies out.
Mm-mm.
Believe. And another thing before I go,
Go,
just
go, go, go.
look to your kids. It was times, oh my gosh, I remember a time me and my kids went to go get a haircut. And Kenden, when he sees something he wants, he goes for it. So he
Mm,
saw an older lady coming in and he tried to grab her cane.
mm,
Well, the lady just snapped. She just snapped, and I didn't say anything. I just grabbed Kendon, and a gentleman was sitting there. He said, "Ma'am, don't you remember when you were little? We that's what kids do." And I said, "Thank you, God. He provided that man right there where I didn't even have to say nothing. He
mm.
just stood up for us." And then we got in the car, and Dalen just started bawling. He was like, "Oh my gosh, this lady was so mean to Kendon, and he's autistic." And I said, "Jalen, she doesn't know." I said, She doesn't know. So and I looked and turned and looked in the back seat where Kenden was. He got a smile on his face. I said, wow. And I said, Jalen, look at Kenden. I said, he's back there smiling. He looked and we both just chuckled. And so I've learned a lot of times, look to your child. Look to your child to be your inspiration, to be your hope. You know, they are so resilient. And like I said, Kenden's personality, he's not going to stop being who he is. And that's what I love about him. So, you know, a diagnosis of autism is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. For me, for my family, it answered the unknowns. It made things come together that we didn't understand about Kenden for a whole, you know, for several years of his life. I felt disconnected with my child. I loved him, but I didn't feel I had a connection with him. We didn't have a connection. I couldn't reach him. I didn't know how to reach my child. And when that diagnosis came and Dr. G said, yes, ma'am, it is autism. I said, all right, well, I got some work to do. I started learning about autism. I started learning about Kenden. I started watching him. I started looking towards him to learn about him.
We have similar stories because you used to work, which is actually, I need to definitely contact the teacher. We grew up together in Maryland.
Her name is Karen Hargrove.
We grew up together in Maryland.
I don't know if Miss Hargrove's from it. I don't remember. But
okay,
yeah,
anyway, you were in the school system, and I was working in preschool, and I had a few families that their child was autistic. And so you hear about it, but when it's literally in your face 24/7, you don't know. You know, the only thing that helped was when I saw this movement. And I remember this little girl in preschool that I was, teaching, and she was in my class, and I was like,
that's the same thing that happened to me. I had to look to my kids.
Right. It's just interesting how you were just saying that, you had to you have to look to your child, you have to observe your child, you have to, you love your child, but at that moment you were not connecting with your child.
Nope.
It was interesting because all this time, you guys, until about 2 weeks ago, I have not really felt 100% like she's open and I'm open. I have not really felt like that until I got the lesson that God needed me to learn was patience. Not the surface patience that I actually have had, but just, okay, when she's having her moment, my first reaction is to deal with the behavior. That's not the patience that I'm talking about. The patience that I'm talking about is internally for me.
Yep.
To get that peace of mind that before I even
open my
mouth, I am internally at peace. Whatever comes my way, I'm going to still have peace. And so yesterday, she was playing, and then all of a sudden she just, and she has global delay too. So global delay is basically multiple emotions internally at once. So if she's hungry, if she's sleepy, if she wants to go outside, if she wants on the computer, those are all the emotions that she wants to do at the same time. Well, she can't do all that in the same time. So she can't categorize every emotion. So that's how she has I think that's where she has a trigger moment. More so with autism, that's more like extreme behavior. And so the simple fact that when those moments come, now I have breathed in and out about 3 or 4 times, maybe 10 times. I have counted slowly. I have said, it's going to be all right, Jaquise. And then when I turn to her, I don't address the behavior.
Mm.
I've given her a hug. I
Mm-hmm.
patted her and I said, it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the peace. That's the patience that I needed, that I needed to learn. Not the surface one that you're like, okay, I'm patient, and that's something that you can just say. But internally, you could be boiling. Well, guess what? My body was boiling, but I was hot
Right.
because I'm like, okay, last time I
Yeah.
don't know what's gonna happen next.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to internally be patient with me.
You had to scale it back.
I had to, and then the behavior conversation could take 20 minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
After she has calmed down. And then yesterday I said, okay, hug it out. We all have to hug it out. Give me a kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And then 20 minutes later, then we talked about, no, you shouldn't hit mommy.
See, that's like
mommy.
Dr. G told me, I called him because camp was like, we had to scale it back at camp this year because so much has changed, with the, quarantine and COVID-19 and him being at home since March. And I'm thankful they had camp. Oh my gosh. So I sent him. And so we had to scale it back. He couldn't go all day because it was just too much. So we just did half a days. But I called Dr. G, and I was just like, dude, like, Dr. G, I think we need to up his medication. Like, dude, what's going on? And he asked me, some questions and he really made me think. He was like, yo, you're going to have to scale it back. He was like, remember, you're dealing with a child. Yes, he's 8 years old, but you're dealing with a child that's on a social level of a 2 or 3 year old. You have to remember that. And so we have to remember too, as parents, it's not only, we have applied behavior analysis that helps with behaviors, but that's not only, it really clicked in my head the other day. I said, I hear parents say they don't like ABA or whatever. Remember, that is a slow process. It's not something that happens overnight. Your child is not going to change overnight, but we also have to remember too, we have to change our behaviors.
Okay, so
like you said,
I want to come right with ABA, but go ahead, continue.
You have to change your behaviors, because I'm like, it's not just my child changing, it's my way of changing. It's my way of thinking. The way that I was raised, I mean, I can't parent my children that way. It doesn't work.
The way I was raised, we don't take no.
Exactly. You do as you told.
That's the bowling part. And
yep.
And throwing it out there, you guys, if you have been, this is a more sensitive topic, if you have actually been physically abused, this might trigger yourself by being hit. Okay? Just a personal moment right there. And so the bowling part of it is, okay, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to make sure I'm in a good place of environment, in my body, in my spirit, in my mind. Make sure I'm not reacting, because they take it as, of course, for anybody, offensive mode.
Yep.
And so, when we were having the moment yesterday, and I was like, all right, let's be quiet. Because if I'm yakking,
she ain't hearing you.
It's not hearing. Yeah, exactly.
No.
So when we started talking to her, she was like, quiet. Now, of course, she was still trying to fight her way through, but it slowly but surely calmed down.
Yep.
I kept on, it's okay.
Yep.
Then after I stopped saying it's okay, I just still patted. And then after a while, she calmed down. Her whole
But
body
see,
just,
because you changed your behavior, it helped her, and that's one thing I've learned this year is I have to change my mindset. I have to change my behavior. It's not just my children changing their behavior. I have to change my behavior.
mm-hmm.
I have to change my behavior. I've been, with my son, my older son, I'm like, my goal for him is to be more positive. I feel like I'm always like, you gotta, so I'm like, I make sure I tell him I'm proud of you. You're doing better in school.
Yes.
Even with Kenden in the morning, our morning routine has changed. His doctor said, I said, Dr. G, he likes to run around in the morning and he likes to get in and play and stuff and do. He's like,
Let him.
Let him. Exactly. That's what he said. Let him play. He said, let him play. And that's what I do. And our mornings have been so much better.
Yeah.
I make time. I said, Kenden, you get up, get dressed, you can play. He gets up, get dressed, and he can do his own thing.
Right.
This morning
he needs to release himself.
Exactly.
And get ready for the day. But
exactly.
we are on, I know me, I'm telling you what it is, but like even at night, this is more, but see, you're in the morning because you probably have to get ready for school. We're homeschooling her. But at night, girl, I'd be like, all right, I need for you to get ready for the night, but then you can play. This girl, I had to but I have to make sure about this because sometimes I realize when I'm in grad school, so I'm doing my homework. I'm like, hold up,
wow,
it is 11 o'clock at night.
Wow,
this girl is still up. Oh no, that type of thing. But in reality is you have to be in the bed. You can have your stuffed animals.
Yep.
You can have
go to bed. Just go be in bed. Yep.
And so her toys, her books, her coloring stuff could be all on the bed and she can fall asleep. But at the end of the day, I call it the Noah's Ark. You can't get out of the Noah's Ark because there's water right there on the floor. It kind of works a little bit. Sometimes it don't. But
that's why you need to get her a bed. She'll like that bed. I'm gonna send you a picture. I'm gonna email you that bed. Noah's World bed. Noah's World bed. I'm gonna send you that. That bed is amazing. That bed is amazing. The owner is amazing. Okay. Oh my gosh, he's amazing. He will. Okay. Oh, he's amazing. Okay. Yes. I will send you that.
Okay. But
I'll put the link in on Facebook too.
Okay, awesome.
Other parents can see it too.
Yes. It's interesting because originally you were gonna be the last presenter today. And then the first presenter said, no, can we have it at 9 o'clock? And see, it's 11:07, and we would have been, on to the second one. And it's interesting how everything is tied.
Wow.
And we had the part one and the internet died, and then this is part two. And then in between, you froze, and I'm like, you see, you guys, this was for someone.
Yep, I believe
not
that.
Just me, because I learned a lot.
Yeah,
it's for someone, and so please, you guys, this is where it is. This is a safe place. You are not alone. We are here. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, you want to vent, please do so. We are here to support you. So it's been awesome. Definitely, we need to chat offline.
Okay.
But you guys, this is awesome, you guys. And until next time, will be Monday. All right.
Bye.
Okay, so what I got from here is that don't write off your children.
Yep, don't count them out.
Don't count them out. All right. Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Bye.